Well, it depends on the final number. Right now, okay, if this number is correct and whatever, I was projecting a 4% increase. The answer is, it really depends on what the final decision of the board is. So as of this particular second, and again, this is a preliminary discussion that we're talking among us. This is a working session. So we're talking about a 4 or 5% increase as of this moment, but the numbers are going to change. So please, just to let you know, this is preliminary. We're still talking about it. So, okay.
So if we increased to the number that Rich was talking about, any idea what that would increase the percentage to?
Well, whatever your assessment, just increase it by 5%. Okay. I have something to say, and I know that you're not going to agree with it. I personally think that the way to go about this is to take a long-term mortgage and build it into the maintenance. So just we have to vote on this. Just to understand where I'm coming from, that we are currently funded at 20%. There's a lot of work that's coming up, and at the end of the day, we need to figure out. I just don't think I think it would smooth it out over a longer period of time for the majority of the owners, rather than increasing maintenance for capital projects and assessments in the future. That's my 2 cents.
You know how I feel about it.
I understand how everyone feels about it. I'm just giving you a different point of view. That's all.
Yeah. I don't like adding mortgages.
No, I don't want to pay any interest and get nothing for it.
Right.
Well, okay, listen. Listen, at the end of the day, the majority is going to rule. I'm just off, I just want to point that out. That's my 2 cents on it.
To raise the reserve to 600,000 to 150,000 roughly comes to about $28 a month.
Okay. So we're still not even over 5%, right?
No, between 5 and 6%, if any. Depends on the numbers that are in there, but we should go over 5%.
Well, I'm thinking my gut feeling is, and again, I have to agree with Bill that I like the 600,000 reserve transfer per year. I think that's a good number, especially to try to start planning and funding to stay away from assessments wherever possible. So after having run through the numbers, and again, this is, I think, very good for the first pass, and we'll be getting much closer to it within the next several days to a real number. But I think a 5% increase, considering that there was no increase last year, to stay in tune and up to par with what we're going to need, is not out of the question. I think it's a reasonable number. I don't really want to pay more, but I think it's something, it's just one of those things that we have to do.
Right.
Yeah, I think the operating expenses, I think we're managing on an overall basis pretty well. So I feel confident about that. The larger question is really, how are we going to pay for these improvements in the future? And on the bottom, I'm sorry, I didn't see that I did this. So the total reserves, this is all projected. Total reserves based on the study was 7.5 million. We're projected to fund at 1.6 million, so we're at 21% on an overall basis as of the end of the year. This is projected.
So we're in compliance.
Oh no, we're in compliance. That's not the issue.
Yeah.
The issue is, some larger conversations, etc. So.
Okay.
Yeah. The issue is at this level, there are going to continue to be assessments for major projects. That's what the real issue is.
Right. But the more we have in the reserves, the lower the assessment can be.
Exactly.
And
even if you take out a mortgage, you're still going to have to pay it in the maintenance. So what's the difference?
Well, it's just that, okay, so if we want to have that conversation, here's the deal. at the end of the day, if we have I'm just using a number, $7 million worth of repairs, we smooth it out over a longer period of time. That's all. I mean,
If I was to do anything for a mortgage, I'd buy out the land lease.
Right.
Listen, we can have that conversation too. That's another thing that
Because
we
that
haven't
gives everybody a
addressed.
better advantage.
Okay, so, as far as the land lease, I mean, we had just a brief conversation. I mean, we could talk about that, but anything that with the land lease, if we proceed, and, once we talk to everybody about that, that would be an assessment, or we need to fund for that, one or the other.
Yeah.
So, 1 second, let me just see comments. So Diana says, take a break from the assessments. Diana, unfortunately, we can't. The problem is it's a 50-year-old building that needs repairs. From previous boards, they did not maintain the building in the manner it should be. So unfortunately, this stuff needs to be done. Nobody wants assessments, or maintenance, or it is what it is.
The only one we're anticipating is a year from now for the sprinklers. And that probably won't be very much.
I think, Lorraine, part of what I think we're trying to do is because we've put contingencies in for this assessment, and Bill knows the numbers better than anybody, and in large part, his numbers to reduce and keep within budget were the numbers that we used for the assessment contingencies for change orders and overruns in case we're there. We probably have, or expect to have, left over from this assessment $1 million or more. And if we can increase the reserve transfers over the next year and a half as well, I mean, there's no question about it. We have to do the sprinklers. It's done. It's got to be done. It's the law. Instead of that being assessed, I think our goal, what we're trying to do, is make sure that we have that funded and not have to assess additional for it.
Right.
It was removed from this assessment, and broken out with the understanding it will be assessed at a later date. But if we have these extra funds that we can use and we have enough to make up for it in the reserves, then we won't have to assess.
Right.
And Rich,
but my point is, we're not anticipating any other assessments for the next year.
Okay, well,
No, you
just to
can't
point
say
that way,
that
just a
yet.
clarification for Rich. Rich, we've discussed in the past, but the owners have to approve any transfer of funds. I know we've discussed that.
Right.
So, yeah, so that's no problem. So whatever the owners decide, then we have to follow. So,
And
yeah.
just for clarification, Howard, like I said, if for some reason, well, we know the pipelining came in under because we got the new contract and it was $1 million less. And like Richard said, the excess money in that assessment, it is a board vote only to either refund the money or transfer it over to a future assessment.
Okay, well, listen, Bill,
That's
I'm
true.
not, we can have this conversation, about future when it occurs, okay?
Yeah.
Only because I have to get back to work. So let's talk about the budget. Okay. So
Okay. Are we finished?
I just wanted one more thing. So Diana said something about land lease and paying for a parking lot. I'm not quite sure, Diana. If you want to email the Parliament House and I can get into more details, because I do have to get back to work. So all I'm saying is, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the reserve amount to $600,000.
Okay.
And then, so.
Reduce the salaries by one person.
Yep. I will go, let me, I'll
Make
make
your
the
updates.
changes.
Make your updates.
I'll make the updates. I'll
And then
send
we-
it out. We'll have another meeting on this and then we can discuss this stuff. So.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Howard.
Okay, guys, if everybody enjoy, and if anyone has any questions. please
You gotta
email
end the
Parliament
meeting.
House. Well, okay, if you,
Oh.
okay, well,
I make a
just
motion
email
to
the Parliament
adjourn.
House and we can answer all questions. So, okay. Bye-bye.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I
Second.
second it.
Second,
Yeah.
Goodbye.
okay,
In
we're
favor.
adjourned.